Hey guys, welcome back to the Freedom Parent Podcast. And today we're going to talk about how to change your life by changing your habits. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the Freedom Parents Podcast.
Back. Was that Mr. Carter?
Whoop, whoop. I have no idea what you're
You're
talking
too
about.
young
Is that
for that.
1970s?
I don't know.
Something?
I was born in the
1970s
80s.
something?
Not.
You were definitely not.
Product of the 70s.
I will always be able to say I'm younger than you.
That's fine.
All right. What are we talking about today? We are talking about, I'm going to finish your sentence for you. You gotta speak. Come on. We are talking about habits. Yes. Want to change your life?
Just tuned out a bunch of people.
Start with your habits. That sounds like too much work, right?
Boring. I know this. That's something too, actually. This is how I used to be. I'd listen to podcasts and just blink if that's you and you're listening to this. But I'd listen to these events and I'd listen to these podcasts. And I'm like, oh, I know this. Or I've heard that before. I know that. Yeah. But I didn't have the results, right? No,
right.
And they come down and I heard someone say it. I can't think of who it is, so I can't give credit to them. It was a couple years ago. And they said, yeah, to know something and to do something is two different things.
Yes.
To do it is to know it.
Yeah.
Right? You may talk about
it. And to do it more than once.
Well, yeah, you might talk about it with your friends at the water cooler. You might have watched a movie on it, right? You could study and read about how to launch a rocket into space, but you don't know it unless you do it.
Yep.
So I say that all because you hear the word habit. It's kind of like, yeah, I know it. Yeah, I know this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Are you doing it? And what are you doing? Right?
Yeah. Well, to really define a habit, it's going to be something that you do over and over, consistently, over a long stretch of time.
Right.
You know, that's not the Webster edition, by the way, if somebody wants to correct me. That's the Sam edition, the definition right there. But, over the years of our own experience, and personally, I'll speak for myself, but having, just 10 years ago, 15 years ago, not very great habits. The one habit I had going for me was health, and my nutrition wasn't great. So physical health I prioritized most of the time. But that was a big stretch for me to go from being sedentary to physically active. But when we really start thinking about the word habit there and what it actually means and why it is so important in success and changing your life and reaching goals, is because it requires the work and the consistency of learning how to do it over and over again over a long stretch of time. Right. To your point of saying you can't say, oh, I know it unless you've done it. But you also can't say that you know it and you've tried it unless you've done it consistently over a long stretch of time. So there's so many people out there, you name a habit, getting up early in the morning, eating healthy, working out, running, and they'll say, well, I tried it, didn't like it, really wasn't for me. I'm like, how long did you try it for?
Right.
Because that's where habits are cultivated.
Right. And if you look at your habits, you could, I think it's like habits. Would you agree? Habits, routines, kind of same, kind of synonymous. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've heard this before too, and it's 100%. It's your life right now is a result of your habits collectively, the consistency of your routine.
Yeah.
That is what you have today, physically, mentally, relationships, financially. Mm-hmm. It is a result of your consistency in the habits and the routine that you have.
Yes.
So maybe that makes you perk up a little bit to say, now I'm listening, Sam and Harold. Now you got my attention. So for some of us, for us specifically, because of what we wanted to create and change and all the things that I just mentioned, we had to disrupt. That word disrupt patterns, right? Because we were caught in a rut. we were in a rut. How many of you have said that before? I'm in a rut, right? My routine, it's just, I'm in a rut. And the only difference between what a rut and a grave is the depth of the hole.
Yep.
So a lot of us get stuck in our rut routine, in our rut habits, 10, 20, 30 years. And all it takes is the disruption of that. It's like, I live, so I'm a coon ass from Southern Louisiana. So, and I'm sure they have ruts. Maybe you call it something else, but basically it's like that indention in the road. And it could be in asphalt. It can be typically it was in mud when it got wet and then it dried up, and you get stuck in a rut. It's kind of like a train. Like you can't get off the track. Like it takes an extreme amount of force to pull out of a rut. Like you got to fight to disrupt that pattern that it's taking you on.
Yep.
Right? Because you're caught in that track. Your tires are stuck in a rut. If you've ever driven in a rut, you know what I'm talking about. So our day-to-day routines of that, I understand it is hard to disrupt that.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing is once you disrupt that, you start to build habits that serve you. And then those become automatic, right?
Well, I was reading your mind, I swear, because I was just thinking so much of what we're
on a frequency, baby.
We have to do is deprogram what has been programmed, AKA become automatic for us. And a lot of that has just been given to us. We haven't even stopped to say, do I want to take this teaching with me that I just kind of fell into as a child because of, the family I was born into, or where I lived, or the culture I grew up in, or the school I went to, or it's the father, mother, teacher, preacher. Yeah, that scenario, which there's going to be a lot of good you can take with you. But ultimately, what it means to grow up, leave and cleave, is to make your own dang decisions and decide to cut off what. That's the meaning of decide. And that is, I think, actually the Webster edition. But to cut off. And so if you're going to decide, you literally have to decide what you're keeping, what you're rejecting.
Mm-hmm.
And you're creating a new automatic. Can I give an example? Like of past habits and current habits? I think it would be great for both of us.
Sure, just not about me. Under your closet, your skeletons.
Yeah. Is somebody not being transparent here? Come on.
Hey, it's your confessions over here.
Oh man, I don't know where you think I'm taking this, but it could get interesting. So I said it was just probably 10, 15 years ago. I had a lot of different habits. I was that person that would hit snooze 22 times and 22 times be miserable doing it chronically. And, the only person I woke up the best in the house was you, for sure. You were wide awake probably by the 10th time. Probably less, to be honest, probably the first time. But I stayed up very late. I was a chronic night owl. So, people out there that are like, oh, I'm a night owl. I just, that's when I'm most inspired. That's when I get things done. You can't go to bed, before 10 p.m. or even, some people, if you're a night owl, it's 11 and 12. And I'll be honest, that was me. My average bedtime was 11 p.m., 12 a.m., but really it ranged between more likely 11 to 1. Was it consistent every week, most nights? And you could argue the fact too that, if you get 6 to 7 or 8 hours, it doesn't matter, right? Well, if you are a parent and you have kids, it totally matters, right? Mm-hmm. So what that looked like was you waking up the first time your alarm went off, and often finding yourself running around frantic, looking for socks, uniforms, and being like, are we sending lunch today? Who's making lunches? Who's making breakfast? And basically just rolling into the day.
Well, you're reacting. You're reacting.
Rolled into the day.
Yeah, putting out fires.
Yeah. And I made the night thing okay because I felt like that was when I caught up. But who wants to live a life where you always feel like you're just trying to catch up? That's exhausting.
Well, and you probably have some people who's arguing, right? Mm-hmm. They want to keep their and justify their limitations, as we all do, and why they can't change the habit or create it. And oftentimes I've heard it, and I've had people ask me, it was like, man, do you really, you said we wake up early, right? And there's reasons behind that. We'll get into that and the power in it. But they'll say, man, you actually like to do these habits that you're talking about? And I'm like, no, that's why I made them habits.
See, I do like my habits now, but
we like the results. Ultimately,
there's certain things I like.
Results.
Yeah, I do like the results.
It's like brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
It's a habit.
Yeah.
I don't look forward to brushing my teeth, but I like the result of brushing my teeth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I made it become a habit, just like you did, hopefully.
An automatic, right?
Yeah.
Right. Hopefully everybody's brushing their teeth. If not, we start there.
We
start there with the habit.
We're going to low-hanging fruit today.
No judgment from me. We're here to empower you. But so that was one of the bigger unhealthy habits that I had was the nighttime and lack of getting up to be able to adequately serve myself and my family and other people. And when you start your days like that, basically you're reacting throughout your entire day.
Yep.
You know, you're just whatever is urgent.
You're exhausted because of that.
And that's when you end up
mentally drained,
being too much of a yes person and just saying yes to whatever's in front of you.
And you're spinning your wheels.
Yeah. You're not the author of your day. Health-wise, my nutrition was all over the place because of actually my late nights and staying up far too late. Oh my gosh. It actually, newsflash people, does something to your hormones, the chemical makeup of your body. You are wired, despite what people want to argue, night owl, or morning person, whatever. Your body is wired circadian rhythms to sleep when it's dark, okay? And to rise when the sun is rising. Now, that did something to also my eating because I stayed up so late. I often found myself binge eating. You never witnessed it because nobody ever witnesses someone's binge eating. But I put the kids to bed. I would wait for you to go to bed and convince myself that's when work is done. I fold laundry. I clean up the kitchen, watch Bravo Housewives. I mentioned this a lot because it was a real thing. The Bravo Housewives. I watched every single city, whatever, everyone. But the thing was, too, typically fell asleep on the couch watching that. And when I woke up, I was ravenous because my nutrition was all over the place. I binge ate at night. Because of that, rolling again, just reacting. I often didn't even eat until maybe lunchtime. Hardly drank any water. I used to exercise as a weapon also. I only exercised when I wanted to be skinny or look good in an outfit or a bathing suit. And or to work off those binge fest. And relationship wise, I just was, if you listen to our first podcast, I was just trying to get by. Every single thing about my day was exhausting, but I made it that way. And so it was some just little intentional choices. I think some of us are going to be able to make big leaps all at once, depending on, do you have a mentor? Do you have a guide? Do you have a podcast you listen to? By the way, if someone may need some help with morning routines, I created a Mompreneur Magical Morning download that you can get for free off our website. But depending on the amount of support that you will take, go find for yourself. I think that there's a lot of people out there that can change a lot of several bad habits to healthy habits all at once, depending on the support. Again, and we also we created the Power to Pivot calendar just for that reason too. So sometimes though, it takes one habit at a time. And there was a little season that all I could handle was about 1 or 2 habits. Changing my nights gave me back a lot of energy and focus, and then allowed me to systematically change several other things, including nutrition and exercise. So Cliff Note version, where am I at now? Now I get up most mornings by 5 a.m., 5:30. I grab, for those of you watching on YouTube, I grab my Bible right here behind us, if you can see that. Sit by the fire here behind us also. And I start every morning with a cup of coffee and God. Then I am up and usually getting dressed. Sometimes it's to get a run in, and sometimes it's just to help with getting the kids ready and off to school. Then Harold, we go to the gym about 3 times a week together, right? And we lift.
Even when we don't want to.
Yeah, even when we don't want to. And I work out now because I love my body.
But we're never disappointed.
Yeah.
When we're
No,
done.
it's not the thing you regret once you've done it. And that's the thing, when you're doing something
that's something though.
Yeah.
That's something that, when you're lacing up those shoes and you're like, I don't want to do this.
And you get up and you do it anyway.
But you do it anyway. I've never heard anyone say, oh, God, I can't believe I just did that.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever.
No,
Ever.
no, it's not. That's the thing. When you're making choices that aren't good for you, like binge eating late at night, never once after I was done was like, I'm glad I did that. Never.
Right.
It needed to change.
Right.
You're doing something good for yourself. Like even if it's getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning, I hear that alarm clock and it's in my bathroom.
Well, think about it. Part of why this could be part of this illogical part of me saying the part of why people want to stay up so late is because they don't get up early.
Exactly. Well, that was going to be my next point. I can get up at 5 a.m. and 5:30, even though when I hear the alarm, there's sometimes where I don't want to get up. It's right now as we speak, it's winter. So, everyone wants to stay in a nice warm bed, but I crave that silence. I crave that time by myself, to be honest, and just sitting in the stillness with God and just being. That is more important to me than staying in bed. But it's come through consistency over time. I had to really work on it. And because I don't stay up late, I can get up early and look forward to it now.
Yeah.
And the thing on the exercise bit, whereas before I did it because I hated my body, now I do it because I love my body.
Right.
And I love my future and our future together. And I see myself being, that 80, 90, 100-year-old grandmother that's still playing with their kids, that's running half marathons.
Well, it's like that man we saw, our friend Marcy, she was posted, the gentleman, 91 years old. And he hikes the Flatiron in Arizona. It's over in Superstition Mountains Range, for those of you familiar. Pretty tough hike. 91 years old. He does it. I'm going to get it wrong. I'm probably going to underplay it. But I think the 91-year-old man does this hike 6 months out the year, something like that. Like he does it hundreds of times. It's just crazy, right? Because it's consistency. It's part of his habit. And that's why at 91, he's not looking at people living life. He's doing life.
Yeah.
And that could go off on a whole nother tangent. But I think the easiest place to start, you're going to hear us use, if you tune into us over time, you'll hear us use that word awareness a lot. I'm going to tell you right now, because it starts with awareness. Everything's awareness. So if you actually take your habits and you say, okay, well, my life is where it is in all these aspects, financial, health, relational, whatever it may be, because of those habits. That's what they're saying. That's what many people are saying, that who have achieved some things, who are successful. All right, well, let me own that, create the awareness, and look at it. The easiest place to start, to your point, is the morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
It's the start, right? It's the start.
Yeah.
And I believe that part of why we've been successful, and I think was a good change for us, was when we started collecting wins out the gate. Mm-hmm. And I'll say it again, we were reacting.
Confidence.
This is when you get up and the kids beat you up, if you have children, and the kids beat you up, not literally beat you up, but wake up before you are just reacting to them not being able to find their socks, or you're reacting to them running around trying to fill up their water bottles for school. You're reacting, and then you're
freaking out about being late.
Yeah, your whole mood, the rest of your day is set. The frequency, you've dialed into frequency reactive for the rest of the day. Yeah. And you're trying to catch up, and you never can catch up.
No.
But if you start with the routine, like you said, you start with the morning. What's the easiest win to get? Beat the sun up.
Yeah.
We keep saying that, but I'm telling you, there's power in that. There's silence in the morning. Like you said, you get with your Bible, you get with God, you beat the sun up, you collect the win. So the whole day is collecting wins and collecting wins. So at the end of the day, well, maybe you had some challenges, maybe you missed the mark. At the end of the day, you can look and be like, well, I won here, I won here, I won here, I won here. That's a winning record for the day. Right?
Absolutely.
That changes your whole, I'll say, frequency again.
Well, you get confidence through competence. When we feel competent that we can succeed in any area of our life. It sounds silly to some, but I'm telling you, there might be someone that's going to start doing, 5 push-ups every day.
Yeah.
But they actually do it, and they do those 5 push-ups. It doesn't seem like much, right? But the act of committing to something, even if they miss a day, because you will miss a day, Consistency doesn't mean that you're going to do something every single day and never fail at doing that thing. It means that you're going to have moments where you do miss the mark. But despite that, you get up and you keep going anyways.
Yeah.
And that's where the habits are built, is actually the commitment. So through doing that, you get confidence through competence. You own the skill. When you own the skill, that's where, so many people are like, how do I become more confident? How do I become more confident? I'm like, well, start winning in any little area of your life.
Yeah, collect the wins.
Any little area. And then once you've created one habit, start habit stacking. I love to say, habit stacking. Then you define another area of your life that you can grow and prosper in, and this is prospering. This is wealth, for sure, that you don't measure in a bank account, but it creates energy in life that just flows out of you. There's so many things, from how do you go to bed at the proper time every night? Well, I'm going to tell you, for me, I can't watch TV because it keeps me up.
But the interesting thing is, we should say, is at the night we start dimming the lights, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like seriously, and that really starts changing the tone of the house because the kids are all running around like Stellan. He's
after
a maniac.
Dinner and when bedtime, bath times are going on.
Our 6-year-old Dennis the Menace, right?
Yep.
We're both brunette, black hair. The rest of the house he's blonde, right? He's our Dennis the Menace. But anyway, we start dimming the lights and it starts checking him a little bit. Like, chill out, dude. It's time. The sun's going down. The lights are going down. It's all these little habits. And we've been doing that for what? I don't know, 7 before he was born.
Yeah.
So he came into a healthy habit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of what our business is about too. Our little side hustle that's become a legacy business, but is you start building those habits of health and those little things start adding up. And when your habits of health outweigh your habits of disease, that's when you got a pretty good life. And it's not that you'll never have habits of disease, because what's a habit of disease? Oh, you stay up late. Well, it's not that we never stay up late. It's just that we often, more times, have a routine of going to bed early. It's not that we never have an alcoholic beverage. That's a habit of disease because there's really no
Right.
You could sit there and argue that there's.
People dream up these black and white scenarios, and because then again, they're chasing perfectionism, which again isn't real. It's just your perception. When you think perfectionism, or you say, oh, that's perfect, that's just your perception. That's all it is.
And that's a reason to justify to just throw the towel
why
in.
you can't. Yes.
And why I can't.
So it drives me nuts now. It drives me nuts because I'm like, oh my God, you just painted this whole scenario and picture of why you cannot.
Yeah.
Therefore, defending why you should never exert any energy in even trying.
And we did it for years.
It's ridiculous. It drives me nuts.
Yeah. When you look
It
back,
drives me
you're like, yeah.
Because I hate seeing people quit. I hate it. I hate it. If there's anything I hate more, I hate seeing people quit, because I know that if they just push through and they just change some foundational things in their life, they can have what they want and need. And it breaks my heart to see someone else live life with a broken heart, that like feeling inadequate, or they didn't chase their dreams, or they didn't live up to their potential. I don't like that. I don't want people to have that. But at the same time, you can't act like these, what you think are small things, don't matter.
Yeah.
Sleep matters. Nutrition matters. Exercise matters. Your relationships
How you
matter.
speak.
Personal development matters. Spiritual time matters.
When I say how you speak, I mean how you speak to someone. Is it with a kind tongue, or you always, catch yourself? That's something that we work on around the house, because we get in that boss mode of operating and looking at the phones, and then we react in a tone to our children at times. But again, awareness.
Which is why
not that
another
we're perfect,
habit, we put away our phones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So those of you, it's like those phones are on constantly. You don't have to have that thing always on. You don't always have to have it in front of your face. You are entitled to have a bedtime. If you work from your phone like we do, you are entitled to have business hours and standard hours of operation. And in fact, I go to extreme lengths because you can still get around these things. And I will, if I don't set up several barriers, but I have a sleep time in Facebook. You can do that if you didn't know, to where when you click Facebook, it has just a little blank sheet with like a sleeping cat that says on sleep mode for X amount of hours, as well as on Instagram and on my phone. It's programmed as well. So I do that because of just what you said, that we're entrepreneurs. We work when we want, how we want. Nobody dictates our hours, which means that we literally can work all the time. But when our kids are in front of our faces, and if anyone listening works from their phone, I know that you probably can resonate with this, like kind of getting a little snippety with your kids for no good reason,
reacting.
Simply because they're talking to you while you're looking at your phone.
Yeah. How dare that?
Yeah. And I know that I don't want to find myself regretting these kind of reactions. And I know a lot of people.
Well, and then you're conditioning bad.
Let's create a new habit.
Behaviors. Yeah.
Yeah.
And your children.
Yeah. So also, yeah, that's a huge another reason why to create healthy habits too.
Yeah.
Because not all kids will, but many will, at least to some extent, simply model what they see in their homes.
And I could see that being a whole nother podcast. Once we've learned to dance and we became to 100% trust each other, because there was a time when we couldn't have that conversation, where now we can have the conversation and be like, hey, I know you've been in your phone today working on such and such. You kind of reacted to such and such, and vice versa.
Well, and for me, with you, it's more of a look than a saying anything.
Yeah, exactly. I respond more to just a look. It's better just to
it's better for him. You learn your spouse.
That's good.
There's a look and a like a turn of the shoulder type of thing, and he feels the energy, and that's right. Maybe for you, I don't notice those things, and it's more of a like, hey, isn't it time?
Yeah.
But
that comes with trust, and that comes with good communication. Yeah. So, habits are important. And I would encourage you, as you're looking at these, you are where you are in all those areas. I'll say it again, your health, your relationships, your financial health, all that, because of the habits that you have.
Yeah.
Start with your morning routine. It's one of the easiest places to start. Bedtime routine. Some of you don't even have a bedtime routine. You're just running around with your hair on fire. Like, it's just like, what happens, happens. Where we land, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like such minuscule things, but collectively, as you begin to change these things, they'll help you win in all areas of your life too. Over time, give it time.
Definitely. Everything has a place in your day. That's what I want people to know. Like, I'm not the type to color block my calendar. If you look up, I use a calendar religiously for work and kid things, but you're not going to see every single thing of my day like perfectly blocked and color coded. But yet I know everything has a place in my day.
Yeah.
And when you get real on what's important and what needs to change, and you commit to doing those things, it will fall into place, and you will have time to grow your business. You'll have plenty of time. Even we still sometimes food prep, and sometimes we order out, but our commitment to our nutrition and eating healthy is the same, whether we're cooking food here or not, or we're ordering here or not. And that falls into our day too. If you listen to our day, it could sound exhausting. But it's not, because it's just the natural flow of how we do life, and it works perfectly for us now. And pretty cool to see that we have our oldest, who's now 13, and then we've got our 11-year-old. And those two, wow, to see our 13-year-old, her New Year's resolution was to drink a minimum of 64 ounces of water. And I think she's only missed it maybe once or twice. She walks around with this big old jug that carries 64 ounces of water.
Well,
and she set these goals. And then our 11-year-old has a morning routine. But we can't say that they would be doing these things if we wouldn't have made that pivot.
That's what I was just about to say. So, those of you who are parents, just remember who's watching. So if it's not enough for you to change the habits in your life for your benefit, think who's watching. And that's not to guilt trip you. I'm just saying the small things. So I'm going to challenge you, if you listen to this, take one or two things. Analyze, say, what's one or two things I could change? Maybe it's water, like Sam said. Maybe you skip breakfast. Like your grandma used to say, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It is. Or maybe it's the bedtime routine.
Maybe you get 10 minutes of movement first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
You don't overthink it.
And I like
but
what you said,
just get
start
up.
stacking them. And then you start stacking them.
Mhm.
So you get 1, you get it down. You get 2, you get it down. You get 3, you get it down. You start stacking. Next thing you know, your habits of health. I'll
Mhm.
say it again. Your habits of health outweigh your habits of disease. And that's when you will start to see the change that you desire.